is also in the system. He's a principal of Ichabod Crane Elementary and Middle School. And he said he was happy to back cleanup tonight. So Tim, if you're here. Tim?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
You're on.
Good. Okay, so I've been asked to talk a little bit more on the personal aspect, what I've seen within the school system itself. And as I started seeing this roll out 2 years ago, when it really started getting traction, I was not happy with what I was seeing, and I was one of the few voices that started speaking out. And I remember there was a forum, a small forum at Bard College, which isn't that far from here, and they were going to talk about they had gone to Finland to research what Finland was doing. It was so great, and they were reporting back out to the community. So I went to that forum, and I took with me 4 of my teachers, and because I thought I was like losing my mind. I'm like, it's too much, it's too fast, all this change is nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. It certainly doesn't seem like it's going to be good for kids. It certainly doesn't seem like it's going to be good for teachers. So we went to this forum, and it was very enlightening. And we learned a lot. And it really just started it was like planting the seed for me. And what has transpired of what I've observed within the school system, watching the effects of Common Core and the high stakes testing and the APPR on the kids has not been good. It's been horrible. And on teachers, the same. They've lost the academic freedom that they once had. I've seen the teachers, they're demoralized. They feel like they're failures because they've been told that they're failures. The kids feel like failures because they've been told that they're now failures. And I've never seen anything quite like it. And I've been in education for 23 years. I have 4 kids. They're all in school now. My youngest just entered kindergarten this fall. All of my kids have always loved going to school. They couldn't wait to go to school. And my youngest, John Paul, he has the same kindergarten teacher that my second son, Aiden, had. And Aiden was the one we were most concerned about, whether he was going to like school or not. And he absolutely loved it. So when he was in kindergarten, it was pre-Common Core, and he just loved school, which was a good surprise for us. John Paul is like, I should bring him in, I don't even know if you can see me. I should bring him in front of me and you see how lively he is. But he doesn't look forward to going to school anymore. Same teacher, but what has changed? The classroom environment has changed. The pressures on the teachers have changed them. And I'm a very supportive principal. I tell my teachers, don't teach the test. Don't worry about the scores. Don't worry about all of this nonsense. You'll be fine. But I can say that ad nauseum, it doesn't matter, because their job is ultimately on the line due to a score. And the two, well, it wasn't the lowest points, but 2 of the lowest points in my career were this past fall and the fall before that, the first 2 times that I had to meet with the teachers and tell them what their score was. And the first year, it doesn't get any better. Having them come in on the first day of school, coming back from a nice long summer, and they come in because that's how long it took the state ed department to manipulate all the scores. And to sit down with a teacher who's somebody you have a lot of respect for, and you're telling them what their number is, and then they say, oh my gosh, well, how can I improve? And and you don't even know how to tell them to improve because the number is so arbitrary and capricious. It's horrible. I have 5 teachers currently on TIPs, teacher improvement plans. They don't belong on TIPs. Absolutely not. There's not a single one of them that belongs on the TIP. And some of them take it more to heart than others. But I see a very sad and depressed staff. It's not the same as it used to be. It is absolutely horrible. The anxiety that everyone talks about is for real. Any teacher, we just had a teacher, I had a teacher last spring come to me, and I didn't even know she was of retirement age. And she said, I'm retiring. I can't take it anymore. And she's an AAS reading teacher. And she just could not take the grind of what was expected of her, of what was expected from the kids. It was too much. She thought it was abusive. I agree. I think it's very abusive. And we're seeing teachers who had plenty of years left in them just retiring because they can, because they can't stand it anymore. That's how bad it's gotten. So I don't know. I mean, Lainey and Eric and Monty have covered quite a bit, and I know it's been a long night. So I don't know if there's anything you want me to specifically touch upon, or if you have any questions.
Well, Tim, I have one. How have you worked with your community, and what role have your community members played in either supporting you to support your staff or to suggest ways you might work together to push back?
That's a good question. I have a great community and a very active community. I really started with some key members of my PTA. And I started educating them. When I came back from that BARD conference a couple years ago, I started just sharing information. It really just starts with conversations. And, just sharing the knowledge that I got with them, and then they share information back with me. And then we'd say, this isn't right, and we need to change this. And so we organized. So I have a very strong PTA. They brought their concerns to the board, to the rest of the community, and it grew very fast. I believe my school district had the highest opt-out rate probably in the state. 26% of the parents decided for their kids that they weren't going to take the test, and that includes me. I have 4 kids. They're not taking the tests. I'm not having them be a part of the system. And what does that say when the kids, the building principal is refusing his own children, and it's gotten so bad that my wife and I have been contemplating homeschooling our kids. And it's not the quality of the school. The school's outstanding, and it's not the quality of the teachers. The teachers are outstanding. It's what's being forced upon us by the federal government. It's atrocious.
Any other questions?
But I'm sorry, I just wanted to get to, so the activism, I've been fairly active. I started at the very local level, networking over time. Eric and I are good friends. We haven't met yet, but he and I are both members of New York State Allies for Public Education. Lainey joined on a few months after I did, and it's the activism. It's getting knowledgeable and networking and working with other groups, and it built up. I sent Marga a slide. Well, it's not a slide. It's a piece of information, news release from one of my parents is Congressman Chris Gibson. And do you have that, Marga?
I do. Yes. Yes, I do. It's on the computer.
One of my parents, I'm very fortunate. Yeah, I'm very fortunate that one of my parents is Congressman Chris Gibson, and he has 3 kids in my school district. And I've been working with him at the federal level. I'm like, Chris, he and me joined a panel of his over a year ago. And he's been working behind the scenes to build bipartisan support to stop this madness, this race to the top, high stakes testing madness. And it was just introduced in the House of Representatives yesterday by him and a Democrat in Arizona, Congresswoman Kristen Sinema, I'm not sure how to say her name. And it's a bill at the federal level to reduce the testing requirements greatly. And the House resolution bill is 4172. And so I would strongly encourage people to support, call your congressperson and say, look, I want your name on that bill, regardless of party. It should not matter, and this should really it needs to go across the country. So we're battling this not only on a local level, you're battling it on a regional level, you're battling it on a state level, and at a federal level. Get active, get as active as you can. I testified in front of the New York State Senate. I testified in front of the New York State Assembly. I went to all of the forums that I could to voice my concerns directly to Commissioner King. And that's basically it. You just get as active as you can.
Hi, Tim. Jim Lucas, parent, Shazy Central Rural School. I have a question, and I'm not sure if this is statewide, but the Engage New York curriculum, is this something you're familiar with?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a statewide rollout?
It is now. It is it's quote unquote a resource that the state has made available to school districts. So school districts can adopt it as their curriculum. They can adapt it, and just use it as a resource, or they can do nothing with it. I've encouraged my teachers to not do anything with it.
Okay, as a parent, I mean,
our district has not. Our district has not adopted the Engage New York modules as the curriculum.
As a parent, I mean, I have a 4-year degree in mathematics. I'm not teaching, but I'm looking at my 6th grade homework, mathematics homework assignments, and I understand what the answer needs to be, but I have no idea where they're going with some of this stuff. Some of it's okay, some of it is just bizarre, and I think our school district, I'm not sure how the decision was made, but that's what we got, and it's pretty discouraging.
I have the same exact feeling that you do as a dad, and as a former teacher, as a building principal. I've seen some of the things that have come out. Just like you said, some things are okay, but some of the stuff that comes out is absolutely garbage and it's asinine. And I would not, I don't want my kids.
Any other final questions?
How have you kept your job?
I didn't hear the question.
The question was, how have you kept your job?
How does it affect my job?
No, how have you managed to keep your job?
In other words, not be fired.
There's pressures, but I have to wake up and look myself in the mirror, and I have a conscience. Let your conscience be your guide. So I wake up every day, and I say I'm going to do the right thing for the kids and for the teachers. I don't care what happens to my job.
Tim, I think that there is still a lot of fear, but we need to stop that fear, because the worst things that have happened in history have been when people have been quiet upon seeing things that were absolutely outrageous. And I think that everybody's giving us the right advice, is that we need to get together and we need to use the parents, because in the end, the advocates for children are the parents because we love them to death and we suffer enormously when they go through difficult things. So teachers need to reach out to parents and principals need to reach out to parents and parents need to stand up for their kids and do whatever it takes to change this thing. But I am optimistic and I'm going to tell you why I'm very optimistic. And Tim, my Facebook page has become like a political agenda. Yeah, I have 3 people in my Facebook page. My name is fake, you can see it's not it's kind of fun. But I'm seeing that there are so many conversations between parents. If you type Common Core in the search for groups, I promise that you get 200 in 2 seconds because parents are all over the country talking. And something very interesting is that lately parents are posting their children's homework pages and saying, does anybody get this? And then everybody, and I am starting to collect those pictures to get evidence, and go to our commissioner and say, hey, does it make sense to you? To my teachers? Well, we all have to do something. And definitely this spring, reach anybody that you can and say, this is not about making life easier for our kids, although I personally think we should make life very easy for them. And maybe when they become adults, they make a world that's wonderful and peaceful, and trusting. But it's not that. It's that we are bringing a big voice to the government and say, our children are suffering. Our teachers are suffering. And if teachers are not happy, our children are not happy. That goes that way. So it is nothing against tests that in themselves, is that we need to say, you're going to have so many parents refusing this year, so tell us what you're going to do. And if not, we're not going to vote anymore. I'm going to become, I don't know what, no Republican, no Democrat, something else. I just look for a good neighbor to be there and I'll go for that. But something that we have the power, and this is a healthy democracy, unless we choose to give up and decide that somebody else rules our lives. But because it is our children, I think we're going to have big guts and we're going to fight because we don't want to see them cry. We don't want to see them think, oh, learning is not my son. My sister is the clever one. So I am optimistic because I'm seeing so many people talking about this, and I think we can do it. And also because the North Country is the best place to be, and we are going to make it. So Dean, come and visit us in the North Country, and you see how powerful this place is.
Love to. Thank you.
This is one of the best music teachers ever, okay? String teacher.
Thank you so much. My name is Kate Bullock, and my stepson was the only 8th grader at his school to opt out of or refuse the test last year. And we gave him the choice, and he chose not to take them. He said he'd rather not do anything like that for the state because it does nothing for him. I was very proud of him to make that choice. So now I have a very specific question, and anybody can help me with this. He's in 9th grade, and he's taking integrated algebra. And as far as I can tell, what NICE had said is that he has to take the Common Core Regents, even though the Standard Regents is still offered this year. And they said that he can take both and the higher score will count. And I really think he'll do better on the Standard Regents. Does he really have to take the required Common Core test? I haven't found a clear answer to this, although there was a great video that was on the Allies for Public Education page that told all about the test, and it said that that one was required. So I'm feeling like that's not a good answer yet. Does anybody have an answer, Tim? What are you making your students do in your district?
Our kids are taking both, and I would recommend taking both because you do get the higher score, and because what is being taught in the class is Common Core. So the test is in alignment with it, and it's credit. You get high school credit for it. So by not taking it, you risk not getting the credit for it.
But if you take the Standard Regents, you get high school credit for that.
You would get whatever the score is on that. That's true.
Right. So does he
But
have
the problem
to?
is, the problem is that the class that he's taking is all the instruction is geared towards the Common Core, not the old integrated algebra regions.
You're absolutely right about that. And there are 20 topics on the standard and on the Common Core, and only 15 of them are the same. I don't know if you've noticed, but Gilderland created a great webpage explaining the 5 missing topics for the standard regions. They're encouraging their students to take both, and they provided a website with tutorials, videos, and practice problems so the kids can study for the standard regions in addition.
Wow.
Yeah. However, did my kids still have to sit for the Common Core regions?
Yeah, it's a tough choice. I don't have as much familiarity because my school runs from grades 4 to 8. Although I do have the integrated algebra, I do have a one section in the school. Again, I know what I would do if I were in that predicament, but you have to make your own choices.
Does anybody else in the room
Thank you.
have any info on that?
I would say it's going to depend somewhat on your district, because I know that our, for example, there's Common Core elements, but we're still teaching, at least in English, we're still teaching both, preparing children for both. Right. And I know math has been introduced in terms of the Common Core, but they're still emphasizing, to some extent, they have labs, for example, now set up to help the kids, just to make sure that
That's
everything,
great.
that the instruction is there. Been very proactive with it.
Kate, I think too, we also have to remember that students are only required to pass one Regents exam in math
That's right.
in order to get a Regents diploma. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 9th grade
Yes.
Regents exam in math.
That's
So
right.
if your child is one who's on track to
That's
take
true.
multiple levels of Regents exams, you might wanna, I'm not telling you what to do, but your option may be to refuse to take the 9th grade Common Core exam and then have them sit for the Regents exam the following year with another program. Because the Common Core will not be in that year.
No, next year geometry Common Core will be out.
Yes.
And that's when he's in 10th grade, the geometry
That's
Common Core
correct.
is going to be
Yeah,
available.
all of them.
And then the year after that, trigonometry. However, the standard regions are still available. The standard algebra is still available till January.
Right.
So I realize I'm asking a very specific question. I'm sorry about that. But there's a lot of kids that are going to be affected by this, and I don't feel like the answer is there yet.
My special ed kids are even worse because this will be the only exam that they will probably sit for, is a 9th grade test. So,
Right.
yeah.
Have you asked your school's administrator what will happen, for example, if you just didn't show up on June 3rd?
I have gone to a few different administrators because I teach in one district and my child goes to another, and they're all giving me different answers. They only know as
The
much as
information's quite confusing.
I think they've got you exactly where they want you, right? Completely confused. I'll state it. Any final questions that we might have here? If not, we would like to turn this, oh, he might have left. If there are any final comments from anyone who might be there, of our speakers, anything that has been stirred up in what we've talked about so far that might need to be addressed?
Might have waited a bit too long.
Yeah, I just waited a bit too.
Monty, are you there?
Monty, are you there? Ah, there you go. I didn't know if you had any final comments or insights or suggestions or anything. You've been very patient listening to everybody. Oh, is he?
Hi.
Let's start.
Was I asked for final comments? I'm sorry, I was stepped out of the room for a minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, my bad timing. I was wondering if you had any final comments or insights or suggestions, things you might want to say.
Well, no. I mean, I think so much has been covered tonight. I just really want to leave the exhortation that take the kind of energy that brought you to out tonight on a cold and snowy night, and keep it going. And I think that we can turn this thing around despite the difficult opposition that we're facing. And I learned a lot that was valuable for me to hear the other speakers and the kind of information they provided, some of which I'm going to be able to, share with folks in other states for either the specific information or the way they're approaching things. So I also want to thank you all.
Thank you so much. You've been very generous with your time, and we really appreciate it. Tim, do you have anything?
What's that?
I just wanted to know if you had any final comments.
No, just get out there and get busy, network. I agree with Monty. Just get active. And, if you decide that testing in grade 3 isn't for your child, then refuse the test.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
People are leaving, boys. Pick up a sign on the way out.
It's 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for coming out, for your interest on behalf of kids in public education. Wanted to mention, despite the time, just to let you know that next door there are various ways that people can make contact that I don't know so much about. I'm going to hand it to Mark. He does.
We have handouts for people who are interested in the forms that they might take and give to an administrator to opt out, or to pass on to other people whose children are to refuse. We have to stop saying opt out. To refuse, and also connections, opportunities for you to write letters to politicians. I understand that we used up a lot of this time that we had hoped to devote to that, but it's certainly something you could just take and grab if you wanted to, just so we get that opportunity to distribute to as many people as possible. And you can really help out a lot of people, especially because a lot of teachers feel they cannot talk about this. You can act as their representative. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We appreciate it, especially under these conditions. Good night.
I'll put it in the back of my Mary Kay car, okay? Come on, plug that for you.